Would you like to be back on Twitter?
You know, I dipped into Twitter this morning when I was looking at some of the research that I just shared with you, and it instantly struck me the same way it struck me the last time I was in Twitter. It's such a den of pathology that using it, I think, is psychologically damaging. And if it's possible for Musk to get the trolls, and they're not trolls, they're psychopathic, Machiavellian, sadistic narcissists under control, then it's possible that the platform might be useful. I like to share information on it. I like to follow people to see what they were up to, a lot of the people that I've met over the years. But, man, it's a snake pit.
It is. It is a snake pit. It
isn't obvious to me that we know what to do about it.
What is he? Is he a narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath? All of those things? None of them?
I don't think that he's a psychopath because he's been successful in repeated enterprises over long periods of time, and he has a variety of people who remain intensely loyal to him. Now, he's definitely extroverted to a very great degree, and he's definitely disagreeable. And so that gives him some of the traits that are associated with those personality features. But from what I've been able to understand, he's also very conscientious and hardworking, for example. And so that's a real mitigating factor. And so I think it's very easy to demonize someone that you don't approve of, let's say, and certainly Trump has been subject, I would say, to more demonization than any political leader in the West that I can remember in my entire lifetime, including Richard Nixon. And so that's also set him back on his heels and made him somewhat embattled and defensive, which I don't think did any great things for his personality in some real sense. So I think it's a mistake to assume that Trump is a psychopath. I think it's a big mistake. I think it's a big mistake to assume that Putin is a psychopath. It's easy to do that, but I don't think the evidence suggests that. You don't want to throw those labels around casually. And, you know, if Trump was psychopathic, well, he did a pretty good job of keeping the United States clear of war for 4 years. That's pretty damn remarkable. And he did have a big hand in promoting the Abraham Peace Accords, and that was pretty remarkable. And those aren't the sorts of things that you would expect.
Your name got dragged into this. Let's take a listen to what she said.
Raise your hand if you've ever been called crazy or hysterical. Or what about nuts, insane, out of your mind, completely irrational?
I don't think that men can control crazy women.
The use of these labels has been drilled into us from movies and TV, from friends and family, and even from random strangers. And the fact is, no one wants this label.
What did you make of that, Jordan, to be suddenly appearing on Meghan Markle's podcast as a villain?
The first thing I make
calling women crazy
is that the first thing I make of it is that her voice drips with the same falsehood that the voice of Kamala Harris drips with. It's this sanctimonious, faux compassionate, talking down to her audience and trying to be sure that we're all really on the same compassionate page here, and we're all being victimized by terrible forces that are arrayed against us, and none of that's really fair. And it just grates on me. And I do believe, you played a bit of a clip from me when I was talking to Paglia, Camille Paglia, the literary critic. And I do believe that it is the case that it's very difficult to control female antisocial behavior, often of the type that's been pilloried as hysterical. And I think that there is no shortage of clinical evidence to support precisely that claim. It's very difficult for women to control female antisocial behavior, and females who are antisocial, that feminine pattern is reputation savaging under the guise of compassionate care. And it's extraordinarily destructive. Well, I know people who know him very well and have worked with him very closely, and these are very solid people, extremely competent and extremely creative, and they're admirers of Musk. I talked with my brother-in-law, Jim Keller, who's one of the world's great chip engineers, and he worked very closely with Musk for years, and he believes that he's in many ways exactly what you'd think he was. He's a genius, but he's also like a visionary genius, but he's also someone who's very, very good at implementing, very good at running companies, as you can tell, because he has a multitude of impossible successful companies.
Yes.
And so he goes into a company and he cleans house and puts things in order and makes things work efficiently. And maybe he can do that with Twitter. I hope he can, because Musk is doing all sorts of things that appear to be useful and difficult, and it would be a catastrophe to see him derailed